What is up everyone, my name is Michael Pohl with Bay Area Aquatics. Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to talk like a fish keeper, how to understand what all those crazy acronyms you always see online mean. So it's happened to everyone. You get this awesome new fish tank, you hop onto a cool Facebook community or an online forum or something, and all of a sudden you start seeing these random acronyms and you have no idea what they mean. It's really hard when people are trying to give you advice and you have no idea what they're saying because they're basically talking in letters. So today I've got a whole list of acronyms that I'm going to be going over with you guys and explaining what they are and what they mean. The first acronym I'm going to go over with you guys is H.O.B or a H.O.B. This is your hang on the back filter. This is everything from the AquaClears to the marine lands, anything that hangs on the back of the tank and filters your water. Next up, SF doesn't mean San Francisco for those Bay Area people, it means sponge filter. I'm not a big fan of this one, I don't see it too often, but I do see it enough in the fish groups to make it worth mentioning. The next one is U.G.F. This stands for your typical under gravel filter. The next one that I see all the time that people have no idea what they mean is AC and then a couple of numbers. And what this stands for is AquaClear and whatever model it is. So for example, this one is the AquaClear 110. So in the Facebook groups, you would see an AC 110, and that means that's an AquaClear 110, or an AC 70 was an AquaClear 70. G.P.H, this is gallons per hour. That's how many gallons your filter or whatever you're measuring is pumping through whatever it is. This can be done for a power head, it can be done for a hang on back filter, canister filter, sump, whatever it is. It's how much water it's pushing. BB or beneficial bacteria. This is the bacteria that hangs and lives in your aquarium, in your filter, wherever it is, and it eats away the ammonia and the nitrites. The next one I see all the time and everyone never seems to know what it is. It's a W.C or a water change. W.C, water change. Super simple, super commonly used, but very commonly not understood. Next up, it should be pretty similar, is a P.W.C. P.W.C is another way for saying a water change, but it stands for partial water change. QT or QT tank. This stands for a quarantine tank. This is a tank that you would put your sick fish into and medicate, or you would put your new fish coming in so that they don't get the rest of your tanks and display tanks sick. M.T.S. This has two meanings. First is multi-tank syndrome. It's a funny little saying we like to say in the fish keeping community. If you've got more than one tank and you keep wanting more and more tanks, you've come down with multi-tank syndrome. M.T.S also stands for Malaysian trumpet snails, so depending on the post you can usually figure it out, but sometimes the post is kind of unclear. But those are the two meanings for M.T.S that are the very common ones. NH3. NH3 is the scientific term for ammonia. NH4. NH4 is the scientific term for ammonium. I don't think that's how you say it. I'm not a scientist. But this is often in tap water. And what happens is you'll find that you cycle your tank, but you're still getting an ammonia reading. The next thing to do would be to test your NH3 versus NH4. Some tap water, they use NH4 to treat it at the water treatment plant, and it will give a false positive on your ammonia test. So that's something that you'll see occasionally when people just can't figure out why they can't get rid of their ammonia. That's the test that people recommend you use. NO2. NO2 is the scientific term for your nitrite. NO3. NO3 is the scientific term for your nitrate. pH, this is a very common one, but some people don't understand it because they didn't pay attention in chemistry class, but this is the acidity level of your water. G.H, this is general hardness of your water. It's very common to test for G.H when you're keeping things like shrimp, snails, invertebrates, because they need the calcium that's in the water. K.H, this is your carbonate hardness. This is another common test when you're keeping shrimp. They often come in the same packet. ppm, this is parts per million. So most of your testing kits will give you a number, and that little ppm afterwards stands for parts per million. TDS, this is your total dissolved solids. You can buy a TDS pen meter thing, and when you dip it in a tank, it will tell you what the total amount of dissolved solids are in your water. So this can include everything from your fertilizers, to your prime, to your water conditioner, to calcium, to whatever it is. It's the total amount of dissolved solids. LFS, this is your local fish store. The next common one is L.P.S. That's your local pet store. That's normally referred to as like a PetSmart, while L.F.S. is like a family-owned fish store. The next one, and this is super common in the betta fish communities, is I.A.L. It stands for Indian almond leaves. It's a leaf that's very commonly used to medicate and very commonly used for the tannins that it creates. H.I.T.H. It stands for hole in the head disease. It's a very common disease among cichlids. The next one is IC, and I'm reading off my paper because I'm totally going to butcher this name, but it stands for Ichlothermycerpa multifolialis. That's not how you say it. But it's a disease. It's commonly known as the white spot disease. This is a super common disease in the industry. And it's when there's all those little white spots on your fish, starts to give fin and tail rot, and it's very common in places like PetSmart, Petco, and poorly kept water conditions. The next one is BS or BBS. That stands for brine shrimp and baby brine shrimp. It's a common food, especially when you're hatching and raising fry. B.W. This is another common one in the betta groups, and it stands for bloodworms. It's a type of frozen food or live food if you're going to raise them yourselves. R.O. This stands for reverse osmosis. It's a type of water that a lot of people recommend when you're raising shrimp because then you can add your TDS and all that type of stuff. I don't use it for my shrimp, but it's very common in the shrimp keeping communities to see that term thrown around. The next term is going to be RCS. I'm not going to include too many fish just because there's 1,000,001 of them, but this is one I see often. It stands for red cherry shrimp. They're a very popular shrimp to have. I've got a whole tank of them literally right here. And I really enjoy looking at them. They do great at cleaning up the bottom of tanks. Another common fish term that I see is BN or BNP. This stands for bristlenose pleco. Again, it's very commonly used because people are always trying to figure out what type of cleaner fish they can have, and bristlenose plecos are a pretty common one. The next one I commonly see is a frag. It's not a freshwater term, it's a saltwater term, but I see it a lot in the freshwater community for some reason, and what it is a fragment of coral. You can break off a piece of frag and send it to someone and it will grow into a new coral. And last but not least, WTF. I see this all the time, especially on controversial posts. It stands for what the fish. So those are all the acronyms that I'm going over today. Like I said, there's 1,000,001 of them out there, especially when it comes to acronyming fish. There's a lot of fish and a lot of acronyms, but these are the very common ones. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you understand what a term means that you might not have known otherwise. If you enjoyed the video, give the video a thumbs up. If you disliked it, you know you can go ahead and dislike the video. Totally okay with that. Let me know your favorite acronyms in the fish keeping hobby down in the comments down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell notification next to it so that you get notified every time I upload a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.